So today is my birthday. Or at least it will be later this week. I'm filming this earlier in the week, and I'm going to release it on my birthday. I've always wanted to do this series called the Slumber Party, something I always wanted to do. I wanted to make it feel really cozy and special and cute, and all my legs are shaking. Don't know if it's because I'm cold or whatever. I have a blanket around here. You would not believe how long it took me to set this up. It seems very simple. It's not. So I've always wanted to do a series called The Slumber Party. I wanted it to be cozy, and I wanted to look cool and special. Like there's all these different lights, and which is why I got these. I'm really nervous, so I want to try and get through this. I'm not exactly sure how to go about it, really, but let's start off with happy birthday to me. I will be turning 31, and it has been terrifying thinking about it. My entire 20s, I spent scared of the day that I was going to turn 30 and not have anything to show for my life, until I was able to get out of the situation that I was in. And this has been the first year that I have been in my 30s. A full calendar year since the day that I was 29, watching the time click by as I entered my 30s. I was scared. I was really, really scared. And now it feels so much better. My 20s were, I think a lot of people will feel like this, but my 20s were awful. I was unsure of a lot of things. I didn't know how to do anything. All I knew was that I had to keep going, and that I had to try, and I didn't know how to try. I just tried. Lots of setbacks, lots of misunderstanding of who I am as a person, misunderstanding who I want to be. And it has been nice finding out things about myself that I would have never known. I was going to talk about Puzzle Valley, but now this just feels like a chapter of my diary that I forget to update quite often. And this wasn't supposed to be an update video. This is just supposed to be my birthday video, and to kind of show off a cuter side of myself, a side I like. The longer this video goes, the more I don't know if I'm ever going to upload this. I wanted to upload it on my birthday, but I'm so terrified of this. There's a video I really want to do, and as an old movie reviewer, someone who loves movies, I think a lot about trying to come back to reviewing movies, but I really don't know if there's a place for it with Letterboxd, being around. You could just kind of type in a paragraph and everyone's like, yeah, there you go, just type it in the Letterboxd. But there are certain movies and certain things, certain stories that I think deserve to have a chapter of, I guess, this channel. If we're going to call it the videos, I put out chapters of my, thoughts. There are certain movies that I really care about, and movies that I think I want to do videos on. Funny enough, one of them is called We're Back, Dinosaur Tale, I think. It was a movie that I really liked as a kid, and I would watch a lot. And I would always view myself as, he's this little boy bird at the beginning of the movie. When I was a kid, I would watch that and I would relate to that bird, because it opens up with this bird falling out of the nest, and then this big old dinosaur grabbing him and talking to him and telling him this story about how he used to be dumb and stupid and ferocious. And he tells the whole story to this, little tiny bird. And as a kid, I related to the bird. And a few years ago, I rewatched that movie, and all of a sudden, I related to the big giant dinosaur, the T-Rex, talking to this little baby bird about how stupid he used to be and how ferocious and vicious he used to be. And I really want a video in and of itself to talk about those feelings and to talk about like how these movies like really make you feel something, and how like a silly movie, animated children's movie, like really affected me, or it was something special, something that you can go back to and like relearn stuff about yourself. I want to go back and give a chapter on the movie Fern Gully. Fern Gully is a movie that I think I would love to talk about, but that is a movie that I think I gotta work up to talking about for reasons that will become clear in the future. But a lot of people hate the question, what's your favorite movie? Like, everybody who thinks that they're really into movies will be like, oh, I can't pick a favorite. Oh, there's so many good movies out there. I can't pick a favorite. You can't pick a favorite. You really can't pick a favorite. You can't pick a movie out there that stuck with you, that you watched and you remember it just breaking you open and pouring inside of you. There's not a movie out there or a moment or anything. You've spent how many years on this planet, and you've watched all of these stories, and not one has touched your soul to the point where you're like, that's my favorite movie. People will love movies and not really understand what they are. They are like, movies are art, but like people don't even understand what art is. Art is a conversation. Art is someone putting a story out into the world and saying, like, this is mine, and just calling out to an ocean of people and hoping other people feel the same way. And so it's, like, silly to me sometimes when people are like, oh, I can't do a favorite. I really can't do a favorite. There's so many good movies. There's millions of great films. There's so much content out there. There's a lot. I'm not trying to dispute that. What I'm trying to say is, what movie speaks to you? What movie, like, just really called out to you? What movie made you feel? I have so many movies like that I think about all the time. I get made fun of by my partner a lot because I will go to a movie store. I don't know what it is, but every time I see Into the Spider-Verse, like a copy of it sitting on the shelf, I'm like, ooh, Into the Spider-Verse. I have 2 copies of Into the Spider-Verse. And the other day I was at Half Price Books and I saw that I didn't have Across the Spider-Verse. And I saw Across the Spider-Verse. I was like, ooh, Across the Spider-Verse. And I reached for it and I saw that it was one of those double copies you could get Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse in it. And I had to really sit with myself, like, am I going to take Across the Spider-Verse and I have another copy of Into the Spider-Verse, or am I going to wait for another opportunity to buy Across the Spider-Verse? Because I don't want to buy online anymore. I really don't want to do that. Most of the best sales are on Amazon and I don't want to do that anymore. So I sat there with myself and I was like, And now I have 3 copies of Into the Spider-Verse. I love Into the Spider-Verse. I watched it in theaters, and I remember that was like one of the last times I stood up and applauded a film. There's like 3, one of them I'm about to mention, but the other one was Bodies, 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 when one of the characters was like, you know, podcasts take a lot of time and effort, and I've been doing it for a really long time, and, you know, people don't really appreciate it. And I stood up and I clapped in the theater. In the middle of the movie, my friend Adrian was the one who took me to see it, and it was like, no, get the fuck down. It was also for my birthday. But, like, it kills me. It's like, movies are special. Stories are special. Books, TV shows, podcasts, they're all really special. And they mean things to people. Like, I have so many favorites. I haven't listened to The Adventure Zone in such a long time, but that podcast means so much to me, to the point where I'm trying to get a tattoo of one of the items from that D&D podcast. But it's like, you really don't have favorites. And I think that's what I'm going to turn this into, this slumber party. Because there's so many things that I really genuinely care about and I have so much to say about. I saw a movie a couple years ago as well called Belle, and it's this anime film. It's animated, and it came out in 2021, and every time I watch it, it makes me cry. in a good way. Like, every time there's this big moment where it just, like, my soul just fills and it pours out. I love it so much, and I think that's one of the films I want to talk about on here. This Slumber Party. If I want to dedicate, time and space for me to talk about something that I really care about, because I don't get to talk about it and yap like I used to when I had more opportunities to just really corner people in a room and be like, let me tell you about my hyperfixation right now. I have a favorite band. I used to not be into music. I didn't have anybody in my family who were like super into music. If it wasn't on the radio or if it wasn't like a popular song from the 80s, I didn't really hear it. I found LimeWire and FrostWire. That's how I found My Chemical Romance, and I never really got into them. I wasn't super emo, even though I would blast Teenagers and Black Parade all the time. And I'm not okay, yeah. I liked music, but I didn't have anything I was drawn to. Like, I was the kid on the bus who would listen to Linkin Park while it was raining, staring out a window, pretending I was on a music video. And I still like Linkin Park. I think Linkin Park is bullied, but I think there is a lot of goodness to Linkin Park. There's a lot of, like, stuff there that you should really, like, sit with and actually listen to and take the irony out of your soul for a second and just really feel something. But I have a favorite band now. I found them in 2018. I didn't really know what I had at the time, but I listened to this one song by them, and then I eventually just was like, let me listen to the album. And when I was working on the finale series of Puzzle Valley, when I was wrapping it up, I needed something to listen to while I wrote it, so I listened to their albums, and that band's Hers. I have a lot of love for Hers. I have a lot of feelings for Hers. That's another thing I want to talk about. I just have so many favorites that I would like to just, show to the world, and I think that's what I'm going to start doing now. I think, just as another example, I really got into Yu-Gi-Oh! A few years ago. I fulfilled a childhood fantasy of building an Ojama deck. This is Ojama Green. He's a little guy. He's a little slutty guy who only wears panties. But, I would love to talk about the Ojamas. Because they're my favorites. When people don't have favorites, and you don't have to have favorites, that's not what I'm saying, but, it feels like you're running away from your favorites when someone says they don't have favorites. It feels like they just don't want to have favorites because it's like they don't want to conform, which is okay. I don't like to conform either, but I think having favorites helps you find out who you are. Well, let's get into it. What are my favorite films? I have a lot of them, but for certain, I have a top 5. Jaws, I saw it when I was a kid. It filled me with a lot of wonder and fear. I know it's not a, classic horror film, but, I always considered it a horror film. It scared the hell out of me. It made me afraid to go into the water, but it made me feel, a sense of curiosity. It made me love the water. It made me love, sharks. It made me, fascinated with that world and how, deep and scary it could be. And all of the characters have so much to do. There's Brody, there's Hooper, there's Quint, there's Ellen, and they all feel so real, and you can get attached to them very quickly. It's an adventure horror film, and I think I love that movie because I love adventure. I love the idea of adventure, the idea of getting out there and being caught in a situation where the adrenaline's pumping, and it just fills me with such joy. I love that serendipitous idea of adventure. And of course there's going to be some horror involved in adventure because it's scary. It's scary to go on an adventure, but the great part of it is when it's all said and done and you just feel amazing. Let me see how I can do this. I am laying down, by the way. So I can't do that, but I'm going to try again. That's how I swallow piss. Number 4 is a new film that I saw when I was in Kentucky. I moved down there. Scrolled through TikTok and someone dropped the trailer somewhere. So I just decided to watch it because it looked fun. But the movie's called Dave Made a Maze. The whole premise is the main character makes a maze out of cardboard and gets stuck in it. His girlfriend and his best friend and a whole myriad of people basically go inside the cardboard maze. And you see it in the beginning, and it's like in a living room. It looks really small. But the twist is that like you go inside of it, and it's huge. It's massive. And the film is so fun. And like that whole thing about adventure, it's right there. And it's so creative, and it blows my mind. The things that they were able to do. They shot in 2 rooms. While they were filming in one room, the props department and the art department were like completely constructing this other one. And they would just keep going back and forth and just taking it all down and going to the next one and back and forth and back and forth. And it's such a creative film with like a really great soundtrack. It's incredibly underrated. I had to look everywhere to find the DVD for it. And I eventually had to go online, and I went to this place called Arrow Video. I have the DVD now, and I'm so grateful to have it. But the main character, Dave, I related very heavily to it because it's about an artist. It's about a creative person who just wants to make something, and he just wants to finish it. And then it gets in the way of a lot of his relationships. It's not exactly it's about me. But I think a lot of artists can relate to it, and I think that's something that I had an issue with, and I still do, that a lot of my projects that I get obsessed over can hurt some of my relationships. Season of the Curse 2, I work with Nate. We are doing a good job of working through it and communicating, but it was a source of fear at a point for Nate, because I put a lot of like pressure and expectations on that project. Early Doors especially. That's its own video for the future. But I really like Dave Made a Maze. I wouldn't look up anything else about it. I would honestly just walk in blind. If I could make something like that, I would die a happy person. My 3rd favorite film. It is an Irish musical set in the 1980s. It's a coming-of-age tale about a boy discovering his love for music and writing about things in his life, really finding himself through that art, is a film called Sing Street. But I saw a matinee. It was when I was trying to get in the swing of content creation, and I was trying to see a movie every week and try to like write a little review. I would bring notepads to the movies, and I would just like write down little notes in the middle of it, and I was trying to channel my inner nostalgia critic and just be like, what would be a funny bit to say? Because I really didn't have much to say about, like, I didn't have like a perspective that I was trying to like walk into a movie and like try to meet the movie where the movie was. I just kind of went in there trying to make fun of it or to find things that were wrong with it. When I went into Sing Street, I went to see it at a matinee. I saw like a little tiny snippet of a trailer, and it I don't know, it got me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up super early, and I'm so glad I got up and actually went, because it's very hard for me to actually get up and go places in the morning. I usually tell myself like, it doesn't matter, just sleep in. But I actually got up and I went, and I loved it. I really loved it, and I had such a great time with it. The music is awesome. My partner got me the vinyl. I have it on soundtrack. I used to have it on DVD until my DVD collection got thrown in the garbage. Don't talk to those people anymore. The main character's name is Cosmo. Actually, I don't think it's actually Cosmo. I think that's his nickname that he gets from the young girl who is an actress, an aspiring one. He's not really into music at all. That's more of his brother's MO. Throughout the movie, Cosmo is like changing his style, his hair, wearing all these different fashionable things, really finding himself. The thing that he thought he wanted at the beginning is not what he wants at the end. And his older brother's like giving him all this tips and is someone who just really hates the corporate world and hates throughout the movie he's calling out his parents, he's calling out his sister, he's calling out his own brother. He's this pot smoking dude, and he's like all laid back and chill and just like loves his brother and is trying to like teach him some stuff. But I think it comes to a head at one point when he finally like really sees where his life is. And he sees where Cosmo's headed, because Cosmo's like in this band now. He's making music. He's doing music videos. There's a scene in the movie. The older brother is like finally being like, "Hey, I need to tell you something. Everyone looks at me like I'm the failure, like I'm the bum, like I'm the burnout, and they praise you, and that's fine. But once I was a jet engine." It's a wonderful film, and one of the reasons I relate to it so heavily, and I even like said it in my review back when I saw it 2016, 10 years ago, was that I wanted to be a better brother. Because the movie is about brothers. It's like this, the two brothers in the film like carry the heart of it. And I highly recommend watching that movie. I'd go into more depth if I really could, but I'd be here for way too long just talking about what it's actually trying to say. It's a wonderful movie. Top 5. It's top 5 favorite films. My second favorite film of all time is Coraline. Once Upon a Time was going to do a top 14 stop motion films. Coraline was definitely on that. Never got around to it, but like I love stop motion films, and Coraline I think is the peak of it. I know they keep trying to like overtake Coraline. They did it with Paranorman, which I also didn't like Paranorman when I first saw it, and then I rewatched it and I was like, oh, this is really good. Kubo and the Two Strings, also really good, like phenomenal. It felt like there was a lot more of self-discovery with Coraline, where she was the one dealing with it, and then after it was over she couldn't really talk about it with her parents because they didn't know, so it felt like it was a story that only she had, whereas Paranorman had the whole town and the family, and so it felt like it was a much more like, what's the opposite of isolated incident, because that. Box Trolls, also great. One of those stories where it's not an isolated incident either, and it's like in a far off place in this like weird world with cheese. It's fun. I love Box Trolls. But then, The Missing Link, man. You did a great job with the stop motion. I just wish you did a good job with the story and had characters we were invested in. And it's not because they're adults, it's because the characters were very flat. Coraline will always be peak, and I'm hoping that Wildwood can do more. Something innovative, but yet, like, not so bombastic. I want, I can put a lot into this one statement of like why Coraline is better than every other League film, and that is because there is so much heart. Coraline's second favorite film of all time. It's such an enchanting film. There's so many layers within it. Like, I went and read the book after I watched the movie a few times, and I really didn't like the book as much as I liked the movie. But something I really liked is that in the book, there's a scene where Coraline's talking to the other mother, and the other mother's not saying anything, and Coraline looks away, and the other mother's tapping her glasses. Coraline turns back, it's the drip of the faucet, lifted straight from the book. I was so surprised at like how perfect a movie can really take the book and actually really adapt it. Because every other movie I saw that was adapted from a book was garbage, and didn't actually look into the scenes or whatever the movie was about or the book was about. They didn't go into the themes. But Coraline is one of those films where everything about it just takes me on a journey. I can't describe the soundtrack as much as I can tell you that I would listen to it constantly. It was a huge point of inspiration for me. It like made me feel like the sense of like childhood dread. Stephen King's It goes into it where Pennywise talks about the reason that he hunts children is because children's fears are more grounded, whereas like adult fears are like, oh, I didn't get the mortgage payment, or like, oh, our bills are due, or my wife left me. And with children it's like werewolves. I get that same sense with Coraline, where it's like it's a real fear, but like a childhood fear. It's like Monster House on that same level. It makes you feel so small and fragile. I'll give you a little story. I was tasked when I said I wanted to do a feature film to my high school friends. I think we were just out of high school. But when I was tasked with coming up with the idea, I tasked myself, but like I said I wanted to do a feature film, and all my friends who were helping me were like, okay, what's the idea? And I was like, I don't know yet. But I went and I watched Coraline to try and get an inspiration. And one of the things I got inspiration from was the door in Coraline, the little tiny door. And I was like, okay, that's like really cool. What about that? And then I was like, what if there was just a door? Just a door in the middle of a forest. That was the only image I had in my head when I was coming up with that idea. And so what I did after that was I rewatched Coraline, but with the commentary on. And I learned so much about that, and like inspirations, things from the movie, things from the book. And then I rewatched it again. There was a point in my early 20s where I just parked next to a pond in the middle of my town and just listened to the Coraline soundtrack on full blast, just trying to really get inspired. The first time I watched Coraline was when I was with an ex-partner of mine, and I really hated it. I didn't enjoy it at all. It wasn't until a second watch, when I wasn't with that person, that I was like, oh, this is fantastic. This movie is so good. It is better than Nightmare Before Christmas. It is better than Corpse Bride, even though I do love Corpse Bride. There's actual character in Coraline. There's an actual arc she goes on. Wyborn and her actual mother and her actual father are real people, and you can really feel what it's like to be a kid when you're like, I just want attention. I want to feel like I actually matter here. Your parents are off, like, trying to worry about bills and whatnot. They don't have any time or any money to like really help you with your childhood fantasies, and for you to get a taste of just like everything you've ever wanted. Would you sell your soul for it? My favorite film of all time is I Saw the TV Glow. I saw it in 2024 in theaters. I walked in blind as a bat because I don't watch trailers anymore. Not since Terminator Genesis, when they revealed in the trailer a spoiler that like didn't just have ramifications on the whole movie itself, but had ramifications on the entire franchise that turned the entire storyline on its head. And you revealed it in the trailer? Not even at the end of the trailer, in the middle of the trailer, like it was nothing? I don't watch trailers anymore, because they ruin everything. And sometimes you can't even believe them. I can't believe an Avengers trailer. They're just gonna lie to me because they don't want to spoil it, which fair enough, but like, why am I watching this trailer then? I'll watch a movie on recommendation, or I will see a premise and I'll go and watch it. That's how it works for me. Unless the trailer is not going to spoil major plot points and just like give you a feeling. Like Wildwood. The Wildwood trailer for Leica, perfect. It's a perfect trailer. It gives you like an idea of what the story is going to be about, but then it just gives you a vibe and it shows you the entire world without giving away everything. It really is upsetting when films do that. There's an art to a really good trailer. Some people just don't have it down yet. But I saw the TV Glow. I saw the trailer drop. I didn't watch it. I saw the poster for it. And I was like, oh. I didn't know what to expect. I really had no idea what was going on in that film. And when I walked in, it opens up with this child just like looking at a TV screen. And in my head, when I first like saw it, I was like, okay, well, this is a horror film, so like he's gonna be scared of whatever's on this TV. But he's not. Like, he feels like love. Like he feels like something. Like he's feeling drawn to it. It cuts all over his entire life, like from like child to teenager to adult, and like all of the different colors that you feel and see when you're a child. how open it feels. The main character, Owen, meets this other character, Maddie, who's a little bit older. She's obsessed with this show called The Pink Opaque. He wants to watch it. His dad is played by Fred Durst, which is amazing. He only has one line in the whole movie. I'm gonna spoil a lot of I Saw the TV Glow here, but he only has one line. It's when Owen's asking, like, I want to stay up past my bedtime to watch The Pink Opaque, and all he says is, "Isn't that a show for girls?" Shut down completely. Throughout the movie, Owen's going on this journey with this character, Maddie. He's watching The Pink Opaque, and to Maddie, The Pink Opaque means so much to her. Owen doesn't understand why. Like, he loves the show, but she is, like, having emotional reactions, whereas Owen's, like, mute, afraid of his own emotions, repressing everything, can't show emotions. He doesn't know what he wants. Like, he even says, when Maddie asks, like, do you like girls? Do you like boys? And he says, I like TV shows. Like, he doesn't... He even says, like, it feels like someone's shoveled out his insides and he's scared to look inside and check because he doesn't know, and he's afraid. Throughout this entire movie, like, as this is going, like, I'm trying to figure out where the horror part is coming in. Like, what is the twist? What's the premise here? And it gets to a point where Maddie's like, I want to leave. I need to leave this town or else I will die. And Owen is terrified of that. And he does everything he can to not leave with Maddie. He clings to the place that he grew up. He clings to the rules he's been given, even though he is so unhappy with them. But he's so afraid of anything outside of that. He's so afraid of, like, the unknown, of, like, where life will take him, of going anywhere else. Whereas Maddie just knows what this is gonna kill her. She takes off. She runs away. Like, Owen stays. And then years pass, nearly a decade passes. Owen's an adult. He's working at a movie shop. She returns specifically. I'm trying not to spoil it too much, but she returns specifically because she cares about Owen, and she needs Owen to understand that the world that he's in is nothing. It's not real. Something I really think people can take away from it, whether you're queer or not, I think even straight people can relate to this film. Because there's a moment where Owen is sitting with Maddie after they have, like, this big understanding, and there's a part where, like, Owen is sitting there and then he sees the glitches. He sees the breaks in reality. And I think there's a lot of people out there who can relate to that, who can relate to looking at the world around us and seeing that it's not real, that it's an illusion, that everything that we've been taught is just a way to keep us controlled and to keep us where we are and to keep us scared and afraid of doing anything outside of the box. I Saw the TV Glow is that. It makes you really just look at the world. Because everything that you are shown from the day you were born all the way to your deathbed is crafted by people who have more power than you. Every single day, I forget the statistic, but it's either this number or more than this. But I think it's every single day the human brain is hit with, like, over 400 advertisements. Every single day. And throughout the movie in I Saw the TV Glow, it's kind of like that. It's just Owen is being, like, shown all of these different things, told all of these different things, that he just takes as at face value and doesn't go past that. And that's kind of why I relate to it so heavily. There are breaks in reality that I saw as a kid that I'm trying to explain to other people. I relate to Maddie when she comes back. Trying not to spoil things, if you know, you know. But, like, I relate to her so much because there are people in my life that I just... since I was a kid, I would, like, grab them and be like, bro, you don't have to do this. Like, this isn't real. You don't have to abide by other people's rules or thoughts or principles, especially when you're not hurting anybody. And that's why I love that movie. There's so much more about that movie, like the lighting, the way it makes you feel, the soundtrack. There's this really cool editing trick I really like where it twists and the aspect ratio changes, and I really, really love that movie because it is so innovative. I actually bought I Saw the TV Glow script book. I read through that, and that taught me so much about screenwriting. One of my favorite scenes in I Saw the TV Glow is this scene where Owen's walking down this hallway while this amazing song plays, Starburned and Unkissed. That scene means so much, and I love that scene so much. And then when I'm reading the script, it's like a paragraph. It's nothing. They found that in the edit. It made me fall in love more with filmmaking, and it made me see how every piece of the puzzle that is making a film matters so much, from writing it to shooting it to editing it to like the soundtrack, everything. I have such a deep love for that film. Me and my partner actually we went to the movie theater and we watched it, and it hit us so hard that afterwards we had to go to the park and we had to just stare up and watch the clouds because it was so heavy. And it is a heavy film, especially if you're a queer person. Especially. But it kills me that people will look at it and, one, not understand it, but two, refuse to understand it. Refuse to really see what it is and just kind of like take it at face value. Oh, it's a queer film. Yeah, it's a queer film. It's an inherently a queer film, but it has so much to say, and that's the point. Go watch more black films. Go watch more Mexican films. Go watch more films from different cultures, from different perspectives, because it can change your life and change your viewpoints. And that's the whole point of art, is to just look at it and to really be able to engage with other people's perspectives and learn something or relate to it. Movies have changed my life. I grew up in a space where art wasn't really cared about, in an environment where no one looked inside. No one looked past what was in front of them. No one tried to understand things the way that someone should. No one asked questions. People were given a book and told, read the book and follow these rules, and then they didn't read the book. I found a way out. I found myself. And the way that I did that was through art, through watching TV shows and movies. The only reason I'm a good person, genuinely, is because I used to watch a lot of cartoons. And in a lot of cartoons, they will give you those hokey little stories and messages at the end, like, you need to be a good person, don't do this, don't do that. And I took that shit personally. I was ride or die with people because I watched movies and TV shows where people were ride or die. Then I walked into real life where people aren't ride or die. And, you know, I learned those lessons, but then I still hold on hope that I will meet more people that are ride or die. Because that's who I am and that's who I want to be. That's the world I want to make. I want to make a world that isn't abiding by realities that are made for me.